So we're going to chant, listen to these kids chanting Upadesa Saram. This is a group from Bangalore. And these kids have done a remarkable job. So we're going to play Upadesa Saram. Takes about 3.5 minutes or so. And then we will start talking about the key verses that we want to review.
krti-maho-dadhau, patana-kāranam, phalam-ashāshvatam, gati nirodhakam, ishvar-ārpitam, necchayā kritam, citta-shodhakam, mukti-sādhakam,
Ramana, karyamuttamam, pujanam japa, chintanam Jagata-ishari yukta-sevanam Ashtamurti-vrit deva-pujanam Uttamastava uchchamandata Chitta-janjapa dhyanamuttamam Achyadharaya sota-sasanam Sarla-chintanam virlatah-param Eda-bhavana soha-nitya-so Bhavana-vida bhavani-mata Bhava-shunya-sat bhava-sustiti Bhavana-balat bhakti-ruttama Bhakti-yoga-bodha Ayurodhanat liyate mana Talapat-shiva krodha-sadhanam Chitta-vayava chit-kriya-yutaha Shakya-yogvai shakti-mulaka Vinashane ubaya-rodhane Nayagatam punah bhavati-nonatam Bandhanat lina-manasam Eka-chintanat nashamityada Ashtamanasa krishta-yogina Tamastikam swastitim yata Ishvar-ārpitam citta-matmana Chitta-darshanam Tva-darshanam Anasam-tukim bhagane-krite Daiva-mātasam bhava-ārjava Vittayastvaham Vitti-māshrita Vittyayo-mano Vittayam-mana Ahamayam kuto bhavati-chinvata Aipatatyaham Vicharanam Ahavinashama Shyamahantaya Suratirit-swayam Paramapurnasat Idamaham pada Vikyamanvaham Ahamilinake Jalaya-sattaya Vikrahendriya Pranaditama Nahametasat Taccharam yasat Sattavasika Chitva-vetara Sattaya-hichit Chittaya-yaham Isha-jivayo Vesha-dīpita Satsvabhavato Vastu-kevalam Vesha-anata Swatma-darshanam Isha-darshanam Swatma-rupata Atma-sanstiti Swatma-darshanam Atma-nirtvayat Atma-nishtata Jnana-varjita Jnana-hīna-chit Anamasti kim Gyatumantaram Kim Swamam Nityatma-darshane Avyaya Bhavat Purna-chit-sukham Ganga-mukyati Tam param sukham Vindati haji Vastu Devikam.
Yo ya estoy viéndola, yo ya lo veo en la página. Y está sonando en kirtan.
So the key verses, we all know that the first 4 to 5 verses address karma yoga. And then Bhagavan gets into bhakti yoga. Then he addresses a few from verse number 8, contemplation, how to meditate. No doubt, Bhagavan has warned us, just like all the other scriptures in most religions have also alluded to the fact that this world is a place of grievance, a place of penance, a place of penance in the right sense. When we talk of non-denominational things, a little not so positive a connotation in some religions that I've heard about or know about, but penance in a positive way. So if we go into karma yoga, if you look at the verse number 2, we are only going to focus on few verses. So if you look at verse number 2, it says krti-maho-dadhau patana-kāranam phalam-ashāshvatam gati nirodhakam. Why this second verse can be our mantra, and what does it really mean? It means Bhagavan is saying, which most of the Upanishads, Shankaracharya, Atma, Bodha, written by Shankaracharya, and many other Upanishads have also alluded to that fact, which is krti-maho-dadhau patana-kāranam. This world, this vast ocean of activity is krti-maho-dadhau patana, is only a place for your downfall. Gati nirodhakam krti-maho-dadhau patana-kāranam phalam-ashāshvatam gati nirodhakam. Because when you immerse yourself in this activity, in this ocean of activities, the world, and no matter what you do, no matter whatever effort you make, the result is going to be impermanent. It is going to be temporary. On top of that, this is where Ramana takes off on a tangent that the Upanishads have not succinctly told us. And he says, gati nirodhakam. And all these actions, howsoever, whatever you may do in the world, is going to be a hindrance to your spiritual progress. Gati nirodhakam. If we imbibe this as our practice, that if I'm only doing things to propel myself forward in the world, which most of us do, 99.9% of 7 billion people living in the world are engaged in the activities to proliferate their own standards, to make themselves richer, more successful, more of everything that we are pursuing. Bhagavan is saying is gati nirodhakam, is halting your spiritual progress. Because you are so immersed, so enamored by the worldliness of things that we all think that this is my success. I'm richer, I'm more educated, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But all that is not bringing me closer to myself, which resides within myself. And let's go backwards just for a moment. What is it that we are all seeking? Since we are in the final phase of Upadesa Sara, what is it that we are seeking? If we momentarily focus on this, bring it in our contemplation, we would find out that what we are seeking is completeness. We are seeking something that we find is not complete within us. Whether it be my education, I think I could be a little more educated, or I could have a little more money, or I could have slightly better health, or I could have better circumstances about whatever I'm living with. My life could be slightly better if I did this. It could be slightly better if I did that. And the mind is constantly engaged in trying to make my life slightly better. Isn't it true? All of us are doing that all the time. And that is exactly what is making us continue to be engaged in this world, thinking that this world is going to provide me the answer to my happiness, to my completeness. Because when I think of making myself complete, whether I'm a ditch digger, whether I'm a rocket scientist, whether I am the best medical scientist in the world, whatever I am doing, I'm the best author in the world, best printer in the world, best painter in the world, best dancer in the world, all those are worldly activities, and Bhagavan has said that is halting your progress towards the ultimate reality, that spiritual growth that you are seeking unknowingly for your completeness lies within you. It doesn't lie externally in this world. And therefore, this is a very, very powerful mantra, powerful shloka, which can be our personal mantra. Gati nirodhakam. You know why there are no comments? Because all of you are at a better place than Bandhu is at.
Bandhu, very good.
Yeah.
Very good, Bandhu. I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it. That's it. The seeking completeness. It's such a illusory, dense covering of the what we really are, that we are almost in a, Rumi called it a trap, that a prison cell where the body and the mind are the prison bars. Christ spoke of it, obviously, Buddha. So beautiful job. I really liked seeking completeness, what you said. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you for your comments, which are always on the point, on the money, as they say. Unfortunately, on the money is a good expression. Thank you, Francis. Verse 3 of Atma Bodha also says, action can destroy ignorance. Very, very, very similar to this verse. Action can destroy ignorance, for it doesn't conflict with ignorance. Just as light destroys darkness, knowledge alone can destroy ignorance. And Bhagavan has kind of made that light, that ignorance dispelled by saying gati nirodhakam. That if you continue to do it, you're not going to be spiritually, because no matter how noble we may be, how unselfish we may be, and we'll come to those verses in a moment, what happens is we get attached to our activity. Unknowingly, knowingly, we get attached to it. Though those of us who are more into this world knowingly are doing things to make ourselves look better. Many of us who are not even making ourselves look better still get attached to our own action. We like it. We like being praised. We like being acknowledged. We like to see what we have done. And that's what the jiva gets anchored with and anchored to, unfortunately. That's why we say that we should diffuse, we should mitigate, we should dwarf our possessions and attachments as we grow older. We should have hardly any possessions by the time we depart from this world. But we have houses, we have money, we have bank balances, we have this and that, and we are always thinking about it. But we should go out as we came in, without anything. This is a quagmire. The world is a quagmire, and we keep going into it more and more if we continue to remain very active. That's what Bhagavan is saying. So moving forward here, we are going to take 5 more verses to talk about karma yoga, bhakti, and contemplation. So moving along here, if you look at verse number 3, for those of you who have the printout of the book in front of you, ishvar-ārpitam, necchayā, kritam, citta-shodhakam, mukti-sādhakam. So Bhagavan is now bringing himself down to our level, mortals, and is telling us, what should be my action like then? If you are saying that my action is going to be halting my progress, what kind of action should I do? I am definitely, because of my prarabdha, I'm going to be engaged in activity. I cannot sit like a hermit under a tree and not move. right? The body is still going to move. Things are still going to happen. The world is still going to be cropping up again around me and surround me. So what kind of action should we have? He says, ishvar-ārpitam, necchayā kritam, citta-shodhakam, mukti-sādhakam. Anyway, ishvar-ārpitam necchayā. He says your action shall be such to purify yourself, not to remain engaged. Our action should be as if it has been offered to the Lord. Ishvar-ārpitam. Offer all your actions to the Lord. Necchayā kritam, do not have any expectation for yourself from it. Na ichchayā, you have no desire out of that. I have no desire from my own actions. So even when I donate money, which some of us do not attach yourself to it. Do not expect a recognition for it. And that's why Ramana is an epitome of the most purest, most sublime of ashrams, which does not talk about money till date. Bhagavan left his body in 1950, 73 years back, right? 71 years back. Not a single person is asked to donate a single penny. And yet the ashram runs, right? Nobody says what the room tariff is. Nobody says how much you'll have to pay for your lunch and breakfast and dinner. Nothing of that sort. You go into the office, you register. If they have a room, they give you the key. You stay in the room. If you stay in the ashram, you can go and have free meals. Necchayā kritam, there should be no expectation. Citta-shodhakam, he says, if your actions are such that are devoted and surrendered, offered to the Lord without any personal expectation, that kind of action is citta-shodhakam. That shall purify your mind. Chitta, it will purify your mind, and mukti-sādhakam, that will become the instrument of your liberation. That kind of action, those kinds of actions would pave the way for your liberation. And as I said earlier, we are all looking for completeness. We are all looking for something that we don't have a grip on. And we think that I'm going to get it here. It's not going to come from this world. So Bhagavan is saying, if your action is such where you have no personal expectation, everything is offered in the name of the Lord, then you would definitely have purification of your mind, citta-shodhakam, mukti-sādhakam, and that shall pave the way for your liberation. If you go to verse number 5, now he's giving us a little bit of bhakti here. What kind of devotion should you have? Though you're going to be acting, jagati shadhi yukta sevanam ashtamurti deva pujan. Verse number 5. Jagat shadhi yukta sevanam ashtamurti deva pujan. So how do I engage in this world? You are saying my action should be selfless. I should be offered to the world. How do I offer it to the world? I don't know. So he says, jagati shadhi yukta sevanam. See the world. See the manifestation of the world as if it has been given by him, unfolded by him in front of you. Jagat ishadhi yukta sevanam, serving the world as the manifestation of the Lord itself. I don't know how the world was created. I don't even comprehend. I don't have the wherewithal of understanding how this world came about. And yet I take control of it. My ego is so big, I say, mujhe malum hai. I know how the weathers change and how all these plantations come about. But we don't know how the seed came, how this cosmic energy creates so much world around me. Just as I don't know where was I born from. That's why we are called unborn, right? We are never born before. We are never going to die before. That's the Advaitic understanding, the philosophical culmination of that clarity. I wasn't born. I'm not going to be dead at any given point because I don't know where I came from. Where am I? Who am I? Whence am I? Whence am I? Where did I come from? I don't know. Bhagavan says, Jagati ishadhi yukta sevanam. It's his own manifestation. Yukti. He has created this world, respected as such. It's way beyond your comprehension. Accept it. Jagat Ishdi. He has created it. It is his manifestation. Ashtamurti Briddev Puja. So I should worship this world in its 8 forms. What are those 8 forms? We all know it. Ether, earth, fire, water. These are the 5 elements, right? We all know that. Air, ether, earth, fire, water. And then moon, sun, and the soul, that which resides in my heart. He says these 8 things are manifestations of the cosmic energy. Do not reason about it. Accept it, respect it. So for mundane people like us, unfortunately we're also mundane, we should respect all the resources by which my life is governed. I drink water, I use electricity, I use all kinds of gadgetry around me, and I use and I plunder it, and I don't even repose even for a moment to respect it as to where am I getting all these sources from. My ego is so big, I assume as if I have created it. And I don't have a diddly bit of a control over it, not a tad bit of control over it. When a tsunami comes or when an earthquake takes place or a volcano erupts, I look in bewilderment. I look and say, oh God, look at the nature. And yet my ego is bigger than that. My ego is deeper than the deepest depths of any ocean, higher than the highest of heights I could imagine, wider than the widest of expanse I can ever create. My ego is larger than that. And that's my problem. And I don't mitigate it. I don't say that, oh God, I'm nobody. I'm not even as big as an ant in the cosmic relationship, as we all know. Even our planet is a tiny dot, which is not even 0.00001% of the total cosmic expanse. So Bhagavan is saying, Jagati Ishadi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Briddeva Pujanam. Make all your actions as if they are, because it has been given unto me, I worship it back, and I recognize and be cognizant that I could not have functioned if these 5 elements were not given unto me. If the moon wasn't there, if the sun wasn't there, I wouldn't have no knowledge of darkness and light. I would have had no knowledge of it. And unless my heart pounds, I don't understand why I get that feeling. Just as I am very scared, suddenly my heart pounds. When I do something wrong, my heart pounds. When I have an exhilarating experience in contemplation, or I say, Ki Are, I had such an adbhut, such a wondrous experience, I cannot describe it in words. When I start describing it, it sounds very pedestrian. It sounds very rudimentary. Even people who don't, even those who are mature enough spiritually, don't really get the hang of what I'm saying, because it was a personal experience. It came from my heart. It didn't come from my mind. So to recognize, to be able to separate, and if we are lucky enough, blessed enough, we can separate every action, every thought, every word I speak, every action I take with my intent. I hope this makes sense. My intent is not my mind. My intent is coming from my heart. So when my intent is pure, my intent is wholesome, ekdam absolutely clear, then I've offered the action to the Lord. And I've respected the word. Think about it for a little bit. How is my action? How is my intent? My intent usually is not very pure. My intent has corruption in it. When my intent becomes sublime, I'm really respecting the word. I'm respecting that entity that created me. The entity that has created the tree, in the yard in front of my house. There's no difference in the cosmic energy. There's no difference in the definition of the cosmic entities between a human beings walking around, talking with his intellect and jumping up and down and plundering the planet, and the tree or the frog or the turtle or the deer or the monkey or the dog. One and the same. All of them have jiva in it. All of them have prana in it, which they do not control. They call themselves an entity. When the prana is put in them, they call themselves a dead body gone from here when the prana is taken away. And that prana is a cosmic energy. It is a presence of, is the presence of the cosmic presence entity within me at any given time that I, because of my ego, has forgotten to even recognize. So 2, 3, and 5 address karma. What kind of action should I have? How should I engage in the world?
Yeah. I just wanted to say or ask, is there, in the reference to these 8 forms, is there anything outside of those 8 forms?
Good question. Is there anything outside of those 8 forms? Just think about it. Nothing is outside of those 8 forms. Because everything is a manifestation, a multiplicity, an algorithm, a permutation, combination of those 5 elements. For example, electricity created from water. My having come to America, or you having gone to Japan, or someone else having traveled somewhere is a manifestation of the energy created because of these elements that we created, a wheel, and then a cart, and then a bicycle, and then a motor car, and then a train and a plane, and now the drones and rockets and this and that and space travel. All that has been created because of unfortunately, my intellect that has created multiplicity, has created dimensional things, and I'm using them as my vehicles because the nature of my mind is gati and sankhya. The nature of my mind is multiplicity and speed. That's the nature of my mind. It'll always create more. So whatever I do, whether I have an electronic gadget in front of me, whether I have the most modern apparatus to have a medical diagnostic test, is all absolutely created from the basic 5 elements. There's nothing that can be created from outside of it. And another way of looking at it is, I cannot create these elements. Human beings have not been able to create water or fire or air or earth or ether. And ether is the subtlest of all. Ether is the other way of knowing the all-pervading, omnipresent entity, which is the consciousness that I talk about. It is not sky. It is not clouds, because ether has no attributes you cannot identify as air or wind, or the blue sky is only different levels of atmospheric levels, which creates a color, a hue for me to look at. That's why I have Vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, yellow, green, orange, red. Those are parts of the elemental coloration. Am I making any sense, Peter? So there's nothing outside of these 5 elements, because I can create these 5 elements. I cannot get closer to it. Human race will never be able to create these 5 elements. And that would be for some of us lucky ones to be able to know the presence of the Lord. And Lord is not an entity. Lord is not a human being. Lord is not sitting somewhere in a big palace. Lord is you and I in our hearts when we become pure and we merge with it. That's the cosmic reality. And we all are trying for that completeness, because we have become a fragment out of that wholesomeness, that completeness. That's why my most inherent nature is to merge back. That is completeness. And I don't see it as thus. Okay. Arunachala.
Arunachala.